Now I would like to introduce our last speaker for EXL Day 1, Mr. Armando Lacerda. He is here to talk about some of the amazing mock changes which have been happening over a couple of months. Armando Lacerda is an Azure Data Platform architect and engineer at Microsoft. He has worked as an independent consultant for companies worldwide, helping them implement cloud data transformation pipelines and machine learning solutions. He helps developers integrate and migrate multiple applications to the cloud. As a Microsoft MVP and MCT Microsoft certified trainer, you can find him sharing his knowledge and experience of 30 plus years in the IT industry in classrooms, user groups, meetings, and international conferences. As a reminder to all our attendees, this conference is being recorded. We will have Q&A at the end of the presentation. Please use the Q&A tool if you have a question for the speaker. Over to you, Armando. You can now share your content and unmute yourself. Thank you for being here. Happy to see you.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're connecting from. I'm here in California, west coast of the US. It's just the beginning of the afternoon here, and it's always great to see my friend Thiago. Let's get straight into it because we have a lot of material to cover and not that much time. So how MOC has changed. So MOC, for those of you who are not Microsoft trainers, you don't teach Microsoft official curriculum. That's the acronym meaning Microsoft official curriculum. Microsoft traditionally has always provided books, right? Some sort of printed material or digital material for students when they show up in the classroom. But recently, there were some changes on that policy on how Microsoft is working and making the official curriculum available. And this session, it's all about that. And I'm pretty much going to cover 4 topics in here. The first one is how it's used to be with Microsoft curriculum, Microsoft official classes. What has changed? It's already undergoing. The changes are happening. And it's important to understand that we are right into the process. So you're going to find these changes in some materials and you may not find them in some other materials. We are on that gray area when we are moving or crossing the bridge. So sometimes for some classes, what I'm going to show here may not be there. You got to check beforehand before you show up for a class. Then we're going to see how the students will keep or will be able to keep following up on the content you come to present and how things looks great and how everything looks great on the future ahead. I'm really excited about these changes. So let's take a look on how it's used to be. Just a quick overview and make sure you're all on the same page and we are seeing things from the same angle. So in the past, long ago, when I was a kid, Microsoft used to have those binders with printed materials, and there are actually binders. You get the paper there and put in the binder, and it was a kind of a workshop we used to do in the classroom at the beginning. Everybody opened their boxes and put in the binder together. It was a fun thing to do at the beginning. But then they became books like this, and not much later, after becoming books like this, they were given to students as a digital material through SkillPipe. And it has been like this for a very, very, very long time, at least 10 years. And the original idea was like, yeah, let's stop printing, let's save the trees, this one is going to be better, this is going to stay with you forever. And in the classroom, when I used to present this material here, I was like, yeah, it's yours until you die, because it's digital, it's not going to go away. Oh, guess what? It's going away. So anyways, the material is still there. The students will still have access to some of these materials, especially on the new ones, on the new classes. The old ones, they're not really useful anymore anyways. They're really going away. When it comes to practices, to labs, when students are supposed to go to the computers and do their exercises, long time ago, there were these materials, the exercise files used to come on CDs. So they get the CDs, those binders, they have a sheet in there to put the CDs on, a plastic sheet, and you put it on the computer, get the files, and you can do the exercise on your own computer. But then you have to set up the computer. So Microsoft came along with the virtual machines. And while in classroom, students could run their virtual machines and do the exercises, and life was better for everybody. And then came Extreme Labs and some other lab providers that start providing the same labs as you have as VMs on local computers on the web, and made our life way easier. But with the cloud classes, some challenges became apparent in here. We need the subscriptions, we needed some elements in there to run some of the classes depending on which side of the cloud Azure you are, and on the Azure or the Microsoft 365 or the Dynamics 365, depending where you are, you're going to need some extra license to do stuff. So it became a little cumbersome, even though the virtual machines were available there for us, but the Azure backend needs some attention. What's interesting in all of that is the one thing that did not move, did not change, besides changing, font typeface, some design structures they used to look or be organized in a particular way, and then became different, different layouts, a different look and feel. But it has never changed. It has always been there. Is the PowerPoint slides, and this is the most coveted thing when you go into a classroom. When you start teaching a Microsoft content, first thing students ask for, hey, can I have the slide deck? And what we have to say as Microsoft trainers, certified trainers, is like, nope, I'm sorry, you cannot have the slide deck. But when the material used to be on SkillPipe, and again, most of it's still there, we show them, those diagrams, those pictures, those points, they are in the material, in your material anyways. I just cannot share the slide deck. But the slide deck is something that has never changed. And it has not changed besides having a particular different structure for the new generation of Microsoft official curriculum. They're pretty much the same thing. So this is where things were until the end of last year. And if you are into a particular Microsoft training program called ESI, you had have a test pilot of the new things, how things were come to be. And the transition from what it was and what's gonna actually already is, like I said, for many courseware already there, for many classes already there. It's on the transition for some of them, and some of them we're never gonna see it because some technical restrictions. The transition goes like this. What is and this is the actual MOC, right? This is the Microsoft official curriculum. What is used to be printed material that became digital material in Learn on Demand, now it has transitioned over Microsoft Learn website. So in a Microsoft Learn website, and I'm going to get myself a little smaller here to get this thing a little bigger for you to see. In the Microsoft website, a Microsoft Learn website, which by the way was first released back in 2019, and it has expanding to accommodate all the new content that Microsoft is releasing. What we have in there is pretty much the content you see in the, let me get my cursor here just quick. No, this one, where's my laser point? Here. The content you see here, or you used to see here in SkillPipe, all these modules and the elements of these modules, they were translated to learning paths into Microsoft Learn website. So when you go, like if you're looking for a particular exam, and I'm going to show that in the website in a second, I have the web browser open here for us. So when you go and look for a particular exam that you want to prepare for, or your students are trying to prepare for, so they can take the exam, you will see the recommended learning path. And this learning path here, for the classes that are out there, they kind of match what you see here in terms of module distributions from the previous curriculum. For the new ones, they're kind of loose. They don't have to compromise or agree with what was already developed. So you can see things a little bit more loose on the other one. But for the ones that were already there, they just match one to the other. For instance, here's a closer view. You have here, this one is for AZ900, as you can see over here. This is for AZ900, and we have 5 modules in here. When you open the web page for Microsoft Learn, you see all the modules are there, right? The same modules are there. So it kind of translates. The good news that I have not mentioned so far is, in order to get here, the student would have to sign up for Microsoft class, meaning they would have to pay for the class. Or if their company has some agreement with Microsoft, they're like a volume licensing and things like that, they could get in a class for free. That'd be paid for Microsoft, but it's gated, right? You can only get into this content here if you found a way to sign yourself up, which someone's paying for that or was paying for that. Over here in the Microsoft Learning website, Microsoft decided to make everything free. So this is one big change in terms of Microsoft official curriculum. The actual learning material, those books they use to give in classrooms, those binders and then books and then the digital material. Now they're on the website and they're all for free. You don't need to sign up for a class. You can just go and start studying on your own, and anybody can do that. And for some of these things, Microsoft even offers a sandbox, so people can do hands-on, not for all classes, but for some of them, they can do hands-on exercises on virtual machines provided by lab providers like Extreme Labs. So all of that being offered for everybody, for anyone around the world, for free. And again, kind of matching what was there before. When you start going deep into the actual content, you see sometimes you see some disparities. Some things may be missing. They're actually displaced, but they feel like they were missing from the previous one. So if you are a certified trainer and you have taught DP 900, for instance, again, and you got into the security tools and features, since we talked about security earlier today, you see that most of the topics in here, they are in the module itself, right? They are in the module. But if you look closely, there is one particular topic in here that's not there, which is the walkthrough. The walkthrough was not translated into a topic in the open material for a couple of reasons. Sometimes the walkthrough is actually in the lab instructions. So when they go into the hands-on, if Microsoft provides the hands-on for a particular module in the online material, they would see the walkthrough over there. And also the walkthrough, which is kind of the lab steps or the demonstration steps that used to be on a CD, they have been moved to another repository, which I'll be showing in a second. The virtual machines that we use to have on computers that we have not been used for a very long time, unless if you're teaching a very old legacy class, we have always used those in our lab providers. And here's a screenshot of the Extreme Lab course list, right? You get here the course list over here. And of course, you can click on one of them and spin it up. And when you spin it up, you get the virtual machine here with your environment to either for your students to do the exercises. And by the way, they call it exercises now. They don't call it labs anymore. The Microsoft is pushing the name of exercises, especially through the free material. So they have their exercises in there. But still, we need, for almost all classes nowadays, we need an Azure subscription. So another thing that's changing from what is used to be to what is now is that think about, in order to do the exercises, the thing called the Azure Pass, that I know if you are a Microsoft trainer and you have taught Microsoft official classes before, you hate this. We all do, right? This pass thing, and when you have a classroom with 2 or 3 students, you can kind of, get through it. But when you have a classroom with 15 students and 4 of them somehow messed up their Azure Pass, and then you have to call support, you have to find someone to give a new pass, and you lose like an hour and a half trying to get started in your class. So the good news is, again, at this moment, not for all classes out there, but for some classes, and of course, most of the most popular ones, they are implementing, in Extreme Labs, they call it Cloud Express Pass. In other lab providers, they have different names, but the idea is when they start a virtual machine, there will be, the lab provider, in our case, Extreme Labs, they will spin up a portion of a subscription, will create a space, a sandbox in a Microsoft Azure subscription, and will create a dynamic user with some random generated passwords. And the students will be able to use Azure on a subscription that's already there. It's already allocated. You don't have to worry about time to get the subscription going. The environment will be there. Depending on the class, like if it's a Synapse class and there is an environment that takes like 30 minutes to set up because you have to deploy Synapse, has to populate the data lake and things like that, To create the actual assets in the subscription may take a little longer, but the subscription is already there. And that's the big news, right? This is one of the awesome things that Microsoft has changed. Even when you, again, I mentioned that, even when you go to the free material, and if the student, got lucky and starts studying something that Microsoft does offer, sandbox, right? Virtual environment for sandbox. This thing will be already there, so they can use an Azure subscription that has been allocated for them. So the transition for the new environment and the new things that are coming in the environment are super exciting, right? My life will be easier. Don't have to deal with Azure Pass anymore. All the student materials are available online. So in classroom, what really shines is you, the trainer, right? It's us. The only difference in between studying by yourself, self-studying, and being in a classroom is the trainer, because everything else, almost everything else, is already available for free. So Microsoft is letting knowledge run free, and it's allowing us to be in a classroom, and on that particular setting, there is more interaction. There is the extra thing, like Thiago mentioned in the previous session, which is your experience, which is your insights on the particular topic you are teaching on. But at some point, the class will end, right? You're going to wrap up the class. So how can you help the students keep learning after the class? Well, you share what I just showed you to them, so they know that the material is for free. But when it comes to hands-on, where can I find the hands-on? For the most part, there are links in Microsoft Learn to do the exercises, to find the exercises and switch to a particular environment where the hands-on steps are there. But you can also show to the students that that material that's used to be on CDs long time ago, they probably never seen it, and they were also on SkillPipe. They are now in GitHub. So here's a screenshot, and I'm gonna switch here just quick. I think I still have a little time in here, 5 minutes over. But let me just switch here just quick to GitHub. Like if you're teaching, let's say, if you're teaching, let's pick a class in here, AZ 104, and you go Microsoft learning.github.com, and this would be one. Let's see. Nope, that's not the one I was looking for. Yeah, live demos are like that. They usually, oh, here you go, this one. So when you search, like, I just hit a Google here, my third link in there was this. And students will see on the Microsoft Learn website, sometimes they see links to this guidance in here, these elements in here with all the files. And if they need to download the files, they can download from here. This is a nice view. Actually, I think my browser is not showing for some reason. I think it is, or is it not? No, I don't see the browser there. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep here whatever's on the screen. Teams is giving me some tricks to this, some challenges. In any case, if you search for Microsoft Learning.github.io and the class you're looking for, you're gonna see this nice view here of the lab instructions and the walkthroughs. Notice that here at the very beginning of this, let me get this guy back in here. Just 1 second. There we go. And this one. All right. So if you see over here on this line here, when you browse the website, you'll see that there is a disclaimer that those hyperlinks are those, in some occasions, they can be those walkthroughs that we're missing on the learning website. So you can find it here, which is a nice, well-formatted view of a GitHub repository. If you keep searching for it, and if you just search for Microsoft Learn GitHub and the class number, you actually landing here on the Microsoft repository. Let me get this here. This should work. Let's see. No, everything is failing me today. Let me get this guy here. One more and one more. There you go. Now it works. Perfect. So you can land here on this Microsoft Learning GitHub landing page, where you find all the repositories with all the source code for all the labs. And because this is in GitHub and it's open repository, you can actually contribute in case if you find a step that's not correct anymore because the cloud changes every day, or if you see a screenshot that's not matching anymore, you can open an issue in the repo and contribute to keep the material fresh and up and running, right? And like I said before, on the slide deck, nothing has changed. The slide deck's still the same. It's pretty much the only thing I have to download when I have to prep for a class. Everything else is already available there for free. But one thing they have added in the end of these labs for the new classes, for the new content, is this reference linking here. So this is one of the things you can share with your students so they can keep learning after the class is over. All those, these topics, they really refer to some element of the exam, some topic of the exam as well. They have the links in here where they can go to Microsoft Learn and keep learning, keep reading about and exploring deeper on that particular topic. And usually they have you and I as trainers, we have that at the very last slide of a particular module. Or we have also those things as links in the notes. And we are free to share those links with the students so they can go ahead and keep learning after that. Usually what I do myself, I get all these links in one list and I make sure that I share in the last day at the very end, so students have their links, they can keep teaching, keep learning, right, on their own after the class is over. So that's pretty much it. These are the changes that are already there, not for all courses, but for many of them, they are already there. And if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you, it looks great. I've been enjoying teaching this. I'm an early adopter of that. I have seen this coming from last year. And I've been enjoying, and students seems to like it too, because they get the links, it's not that cumbersome thing to have to sign up, create accounts and things like that. And now Microsoft is also keeping track of what they learn and what pages they do on their Microsoft account when they log into Microsoft Learning. So it's one thing in one site, all integrated. I'm gonna tell you, not because I'm Microsoft certified trainer, but I'm really enjoying this new way of delivering content and helping people to upgrade their skills, to be more skilled to do their work, and also to have reference material so they can go back and check things out. So keep calm and teach Azure, be awesome, deliver your classes. I hope you have learned something new from this session, and I give it back to you guys.